And good to be back with everybody here on the Donovan Live Postgame Show on WKYC's Facebook Live. I'm Dave DiNatale. Chris Ty in the house for Jimmy tonight. Good to have you, my friend.
I'm good. Good to
Thanks
see
for
you.
stopping by.
My pleasure.
Yeah, filling in as guest host when Jimmy is getting some time off here, some well-deserved time
he
off.
had to do that whole West Coast swing.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, even traveling to the West Coast, I tell you, that's not easy to
No.
to your body, and so he's taking a little R&R.
Yeah, well-deserved.
Yes.
So, I mean, were you humming Miami Sound Machine? I mean, the On Your Feet cast was here.
Yeah,
and
that's
everything?
one of those. When I was preparing for that interview, we did an interview tonight at 7 with an actress who's in the new On Your Feet musical over at Playhouse Square, which starts this week. She plays the mom. It was really interesting. I mean, Gloria Estefan, as I've learned the exact pronunciation, was just honored last weekend at the Kennedy Center as one of a handful of Cuban American icons. And so I think that's a play I might go over and check out.
Absolutely. Yeah. In fact, I think Will Ewick, John Kostoff, and Denise Pulverine, all from our staff, I think, are over there.
Right now?
So yeah, so we may get we may have reviews. I mean,
by the end of this podcast,
by the end of this
Facebook Live.
yes, we may have reviews for you. All right, a couple things. I'm happy to have you here because it gets a chance to talk about a couple things.
Okay.
First and foremost, the only day this week that the Pilot Flying J trial is going on is today down in Chattanooga, and you've followed it very closely here, as even before I got here, and I've followed it closely going back to my time at ESPN Cleveland. People sometimes ask me, yes, Jimmy Haslam is the CEO of Pilot, but he hasn't been charged. Why does it matter so much? Because to me, it's fascinating drama. But I'm interested to you. If the casual viewers watching this and saying, "Okay, guys, why is this important to me?" Boil it down.
I think there's two ways to look at it. Number one, Browns fans who have been spurned before with their team being taken from them. There's no topic of the team being taken, but there is this looming, albeit small, maybe albeit questionable percentage of likelihood that the owner of the Browns gets entangled into this, because so many of his lieutenants are entangled in it, many of whom have already pled out.
Yes.
But this handful of people, only one is a real high-up executive that's now, on trial. And the question is, as we see with this whole Trump storyline of you go after Mike Flynn so that maybe you get Jared Kushner and then maybe you make your way up higher. We're seeing this sort of, this gamesmanship that U.S. attorneys use all the time at play with something that we love very much, the Cleveland Browns. And is the owner going to be involved? And if he is involved, what does that mean to the team? I think, it's hard to put a percentage on how likely that is to happen, but I think that's why we care about it. And then on number two, so that's the Browns element of it. Number two is Jimmy Haslam's a big player in Northeast Ohio. He owns the most beloved team in Cleveland. So there's curiosity of all these people. We see this web of people who've been entangled in this thing over the years, and these trucking companies that a lot of people can relate to. A lot of folks who have family members who are truckers, or people who can relate to being scammed. This company scammed hard-working companies that are trucking companies. There's no question about that.
Right.
They scammed them. The company itself has pled guilty to that and has paid millions of dollars, not just in restitution, but in fines. So I think you have the Browns element of this, and then you have the, hey, this is big, bad corporate America screwing over, for lack of a better term, mom and pop trucking organizations and truckers.
And for people who think, okay, well, when is this going to end? When are we going to have this wrapped up? The defense hasn't presented their case yet. The government is still putting their witnesses on the stand. And of course, you have the holidays coming up. I mean, this could go months before this is over.
I was messaging on social media this week with a reporter from KnoxNews.com. Give them a plug because they've been doing great work. The reporter told me, she said, today,
Jamie Satterfield.
She said that they're on the break until January, and then this thing has at least 3 more months to go. So, I mean, we're talking the entire first quarter of next year we're going to get wrapped up in this, unless, of course, there is some sort of plea agreement. We saw this, again, it's sometimes good to learn from others that we're seeing. Michael Flynn pled, so there will not be a trial. Might this thing, and those pleas can happen at any time. So we'll keep an eye on it.
This could go to the start of the Manafort trial, the way this is
It
going.
could go to opening day of the Indians.
Exactly. Something else I wanted to bring up with you. Chris Ty joining us. You can follow him, by the way, on Twitter at TV Ty. Good follow. He puts some good web polls out there and things like that. But you put a good question out there last night that just kind of made me stop and think. David is going to pull it up right now because David Herviton is the man. We're over 2 months. I can't believe it. It's been 2 months since either you woke up and you heard the news, or you were late night awake and heard the news about the shooting and the mass shooting in Las Vegas. And there's still many pieces to the puzzle that are still not known.
Yep.
And it's kind of like, I know I'm sure obviously for the victims and the investigators this is going on, but it's like for the rest of America, it's kind of like we've moved on, and as you point out, isn't even on the radar anymore.
This was the deadliest mass shooting in American history, and we're not even talking about it anymore. This was the incident that triggered the conversation about those mechanisms you can put on semi-automatic guns to turn them into automatic weapons.
But the bump stocks.
Bump stocks.
Yeah.
But I mean, think about this, and you just put up the tweet a second ago. We don't know the motive of this shooter.
Right.
I mean, in 2 months, not only do we not, know a whole host of questions, but why he did it. Typically in these cases, it's pretty evident. In international cases or domestic terror, a lot of times you'll have groups taking credit for it. And I posted this on social media, and one of the great things about social media is the dialogue that it elicits. And somebody posted on my page, or retweeted at me, said, we still don't know the motive of that Texas church shooter either.
Right.
I think it's just between politics and uncertainty and economic things and just the day-to-day life, things are coming at us so fast that we lose track of things. And honestly, that's on people like you and I to, bring this back up and kind of help, elicit a discussion a little bit to try and bring it to the fore. I
mean, you put this out there also. If you think about, when we talk about 2017, when all's said and done this year, there are going to be a lot of just kind of bullet point highlights of the year. The Trump-Russia investigation, mass shootings,
the Me Too movement.
The Me Too movement, and I think the Me Too movement, and they won Time Magazine's Persons of the Year. I mean, because we're seeing it now in almost every walk of life, but certainly entertainment, politics,
sports
now. Yeah. I just saw Warren Moon, the Hall of Fame quarterback's been accused of sexual harassment. I feel like there's a new headline on the Me Too every day, and a new headline on the Trump-Russia case every day, and other things get swept into the background.
It is true. I mean, since that Las Vegas incident, this Me Too movement has really kind of hit its apex. But we've also had the New York terror attack.
Right.
We've had the terror attack, as we mentioned, down at the church. The Me Too movement comes up. The stock market makes some
hurricanes.
Hurricanes pop in. I mean, every day we have new allegations with the White House. And then we enter the holidays, and people kind of put the news a little bit on the back burner. And it's the medium that we're on right now. It's social media that puts rocket fuel in the news cycle, and that's both good and bad. It gets us all a little deeper and a little more in touch with our world, but things move at such a rapid clip that what's tomorrow? What's the next thing? We forget about not just yesterday, but particularly a month or two ago in this case.
Well, it's one of the reasons why when people watch Channel 3 News at 11, a lot of the stories you work on is trying to, inform people why a national story is important to you. Like last night, it was the net neutrality, which I thought was excellent.
Yeah.
Because these stories, everything is changing, but we want to make sure you understand why it's important and why it's going to affect your and your family's lives.
And the Me Too movement may have some movement in the next 12 hours with Al Franken.
Indeed.
There's some conflicting reports of what his next step is. There were reports that he is stepping down, and now His office is saying not so fast, but we've had both Sherrod Brown from Ohio and Chuck Schumer, the Senate Minority Leader from New York, call for his resignation. So it certainly appears as though it's moving that way. And again, that would be the first sitting senator from the United States to have to be removed from office because of this movement. So I know we get kind of bogged down in, oh, it's just another one, it's another one, it's another one. But this is really the biggest political player to be taken down. We had John Conyers, yesterday. I mean, again, yesterday.
Right.
And now who was the longest serving member of Congress, and now you have the senator from Minnesota.
And there are people saying that one of the reasons why the Democrats have pushed so hard to try to have Al Franken step down and resign from the Senate is because we're less than a week away now from the special election in Alabama with Roy Moore against Doug Jones.
Think about that. That's a whole other storyline that is demanding our attention and pulling us away from so many other things. I mean, everything you mentioned here, it's right. I mean, we've spent countless hours on all of these things.
But the Democrats want to have the moral high ground, if you will, if there's going to be a debate between now and next Tuesday. It's all that kind of stuff, and it gets overwhelming at times.
Does. There's no question about it. Overwhelming may be the word.
All right, what are you working on for tonight?
We're actually going to take a deeper dive into Al Franken because we think this is one of those things that, while at what is this right now as we record the 7:46. The storyline is that he is not going to be stepping down, at least imminently. That very well could change in the next 3 hours and 20 minutes. So we want to keep on top of that and the Ohio connections, and as you say, the Roy Moore trickle-down effects as well.
Can we get you back on here again?
Sure, anytime.
Do this again. Do this again.
Make it very easy. Happy to do it.
My friend, it's always a pleasure. Again, follow Chris on Twitter at TVTie. He'll be with Russ and Sarah and Matt Wintz, and I think Pat Kies is doing sports tonight on Channel 3 News at 11 as we get you ready for everything from a blizzard of weather to a blizzard of news. It never stops, folks. It never stops. All right, for Chris Tye, for David Herviton, and for Frank Masick, who set up and framed a shot because he was watching, you should too. I'm Dave Natale. Thanks so much for watching the Donovan Live Postgame Show right here on Channel 3's Facebook Live.